My name is Ginny McCarthy, and I'm the Director of Ministry for Health Sciences Campus. I also am a member of the Loyola Stands Against Gun Violence Committee. So it's my pleasure today to introduce our next speaker. Ms. Jackie Alexander is Assistant Superintendent of Programs at Illinois Youth Center, Warrenville. As a self-proclaimed military brat, Jackie Alexander, or Alexander for those who know her well, learned to appreciate the value of structure and interpersonal skills. The skill set eventually led to a career in corrections, starting at a county juvenile detention center and later transitioning to Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice. As the Assistant Superintendent of Programs at IYC Warrenville, Alexander oversees all programming at the facility, including Positive Futures and Storycatcher programs. Staff and youth alike are drawn to her presence because of her incredible insight and communication skills. Although naturally candid, Alexander has a flair and style that is warm and welcoming, a true no-nonsense nurturer. Without further ado, I welcome Alexander, our next speaker.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Eddie, you did such an awesome job. Just want to say, all right? So he touched on a lot of the things that I actually want to discuss today, and specifically trauma-informed care within our facilities. So just a little bit of background. As she said, I'm Jackie Alexander. I work for the Department of Juvenile Justice. All right, and as our approach to violence prevention, we have to focus on trauma. And that's what I really want to discuss with you today. But I want to give you a little bit of background about the department first. All right. Established in 2006, we separated from the Illinois Department of Corrections. And as we all know, that was necessary because treating the juvenile and treating the adult should look different. And in that effort, DJJ was birthed. Okay, so I have a video that I want you to watch that talks about our mission, which is building youth skills, strengthening families, to promote community safety, and to promote positive youth outcomes. The video will give you a little bit of insight of what our objectives are, and then we'll go from there.
Tell me about your goals. What's your goal going to be? It's about building youth skills and strengthening families. The Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice promotes community safety and positive youth outcomes.
The new mission is a reminder that the mandate of the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice is to build youth, strengthen families, and promote safety. This is tantamount to who we are and what we represent. IDJJ builds, strengthens, and promotes. And this is evident throughout our entire department. DJJ started to evolve even before we adopted the new mission statement. I think the mission just gives us real focus, laser-like focus toward what it is that we're trying to do.
The most salient words that grab my attention in our new mission statement are youth, families, and community. The new mission statement is focused on the whole youth, meeting the families and the communities in which they live. It encompasses a belief that I hold strongly, and that is, it takes a village to raise a child. The village approach recognizes that our youth are not raised in the backhill, but they're part of a larger community, my community. This mission shows the connectedness of us all, and that we all have a responsibility to rebuke to each other and the community.
To me, the mission is an opportunity for youth to have a second chance at life. It also speaks to our obligation as caretakers for youth, not only to provide them with a safe environment, but to encourage a positive change through education and programming.
Under the care of the department, we receive opportunities to attend and graduate from high school, earn our general education diploma. We can train in vocational programs, attend dual enrollment courses, and enroll in college.
As the school principal, I'm very passionate about my professional responsibility to educate our youth in a manner that encompasses their academic skills, social skills, and addresses their emotional needs. Moreover, education is the foundation for equipping our youth with soft skills, life skills, and communication skills, which are the necessary tools needed to ensure future success and outcomes.
With the education and programming, we provide youth the opportunity to pursue high school diploma, GED completion, postgraduate certification, culinary arts, custodial maintenance, and horticulture, in addition to drug treatment and life parenting skills, just to name a few.
Also, there are a variety of professional and volunteer experiences offered to us through community and employer partnership.
We have programs for kids throughout the day, every day, to build those very same things that are missing states from these skills, and also tying in families into that as well, so we can promote these positive outcomes.
Our families are strengthened through the skills we gain and the time we spend together during visitation and special events.
We utilize all the tools available to them to strengthen families. We do everything in our power to ensure that youth and their families have face-to-face visits, frequent phone calls, video conferences, and mail. These efforts have benefited everyone involved and have resulted in successes.
We are given the opportunity to give back to our communities, reflect on our mistakes, and build toward a better future.
It's important to know that our future lies in the hands of these young people. They are our future leaders. And if we ignore the importance of providing them with the structure and love and support that they need, we're doing our community a disservice. I get to meet amazing youth. And when I have had the opportunity to get to know the youth in our care, they never cease to amaze me and inspire me. They have so much hope despite all that they've been through, so much capacity for compassion, so much capacity for giving, and dreams, big dreams. And it is absolutely awe-inspiring for me to see youth overcome all the barriers that they face, both before they get to us, while they're with us, and once they're leaving us, and still succeed. Okay, so prior to this video, how many of us have heard about the Department of Juvenile Justice? Wonderful, more than I thought actually. But I'll get back to that because that's where community involvement is really important. Not many people even know that the department exists. All right, but we'll get to that point. Just to give you a little bit more background, we consist of 5 facilities. We have 2 facilities in our southern region, Pure Marquette and Harrisburg. And then we have 3 facilities north, St. Charles, Chicago, and then my parent institution, which is Illinois Youth Center, Warrenville. That's not what, there we go. Okay, so IYC Warrenville stands for Illinois Youth Center Warrenville. We have a really unique population at this one facility. As all of our facilities have special populations, our facility has about 4 different demographics. One being that we are the only co-ed facility in the state of Illinois. So we house females. We also house 13 and 14-year-olds who live north of Interstate 70. And for those of you who are not as demographically challenged as I am, you may know where that is. I need a map to point that out. But 13 and 14-year-olds north of Interstate 70, as well as high school graduates, as our department has made a huge transformation since its inception. And we also house our more vulnerable youth. And when I say vulnerable, that looks like anywhere from stature, small size, or mental capacity level, right? So we are very unique in comparison to our other facilities. We sit on approximately 30 acres right outside of Naperville, Illinois, and we have what we call cottages, 4 cottages, which are like mobile style, that has about 10 living units. ranging from 6 to 12 beds in those units. So approximately our capacity is at about 70. All right. Inside the walls of our campus, we like to call it a campus, Maya Angelou Alternative High School. So our kids actually attend school in our facility 8:30 to 2:30, like any normal youth should. We have an amazing community presence and volunteerism. Without the volunteers, without the community, our youth would not be able to be afforded the opportunities that they get in our facility, and we'll go through that as well. And a unique educational program we'll talk about later, but I want to get more into what the day looks like for a youth typically in our setting. So from 8:30 to 2:30, they attend school, and then from 2:30 to 3:30, every youth participates in some type of mental health service or substance abuse service. About 3:30 to 5:30, they get a relaxed time, they get to eat dinner, and from 5:30 to about 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock at night, we have programming. And that's where our volunteerism is the strongest, because they come from the community and they provide a wide range of opportunities: cello lessons, violin, knitting. We have an amazing program through Story Catchers Theater. And what Story Catchers allows our youth to do is express their lives through music. So the kids write their own stories, and then they perform in different facilities and for different community agencies. All right, so my role in the facility, I am the Assistant Superintendent of Programs. That means I am responsible for ensuring that our youth receive adequate and appropriate programming that not only aids them in success in the facility, but that helps them transition back into their communities. All right, and so these are all of the departments that I oversee. The education department, our youth come in because we have kids who are 13 through 20, they come in on different educational levels. So our education department provides a blended learning system where the kids can either be on a fast track, depending on where they are as far as credits, or they can take their time and gradually earn however they choose to, either a traditional setting where it's teacher to student, or electronically on computers. We also provide a GED program for them as well. All right, our mental health services is probably the most crucial department in our facilities, because this is where we address what Mr. Eddie was talking about previously, is all of those underlying issues that you can't see that our youth have that are necessary to approach and attack before they transition back into their communities. Our clinical services department is really significant because this is like the case management for our youth. These individuals are the counselors. They are the ones who help them transition back into the community. They provide them with different programs. They set them up with opportunities, and we'll go a little bit deeper into that. Our medical department and our substance abuse department pretty much promotes healthy lifestyles and healthy bodies, right? The substance abuse, more than anything, tackles substance abuse and trauma at the same time, because you cannot do them separately. Our leisure department is the fun stuff. Our kids' favorite department. This is where kids get to be kids, right? They get to play, they get to have fun, they get to run around, they get to participate in field trips. They actually leave our campus and go to theaters and museums and Whirly Ball here 2 weeks ago. All right, so this is where the kids get to be kids and they experience things outside of their norm, something different from their blocks. And then the grievances. This is not a department per se, but this is my responsibility. So I play the role of grievance officer, as well as I am the chair for our youth advocacy program. And I thought that'd be important to mention because a lot of our youth struggle with forming trusting relationships. And in order to grieve and to be heard and to be respected, and then there be a result, that is not something that our children are used to. And so I am privileged to be the grievance officer in our facility because I work hard to get their needs met. All right, so we've already talked about trauma-informed care a bit in the first guy Eddie, who spoke for us, but youth who come into our facility have been failed by systems, all right? They have been failed by adults. And so when they come into our care, they struggle with trust. And what we do with trauma-informed care is we have to assess our youth to identify those psychological barriers that exist that they are not so happy to expose because it's a tad bit embarrassing, let's just be honest. Right, so we do an array of assessments. We have the GAIN assessment, which assesses substance use abuse, the visa, which kind of discusses like self-harming behavior, not necessarily suicidal ideation, but just self-harming behavior. The stress test, which identifies victimization and trauma, and the MACI, which identifies kind of executive low functioning as well as trauma. And every youth has a psychological evaluation conducted. So we take all of those assessments and we create what we call the mental health needs assessment, which helps us identify triggers for trauma, but more than anything, it allows us to set up an individualized treatment plan for our youth. So no one is treated the exact same. We take what we call an individualized, proportionate, restorative, and logical approach to treating our youth in our care. And when we make the mental health needs assessment, again, we identify triggers. And naturally, we know that environment and community sparks triggers for all of us, not just justice involved individuals, all right? But incarceration too sparks trauma. And we know that. And yes, we work in this field, but we would like to address that more. And that's where we're moving towards in our department. And the simple things of feeling unsafe, right? Imagine lions being around a corner and every time you walk out the door, they're growling at you. That's what our kids feel like when they return home. And so when they come into our facilities, they don't know me. They don't know the other residents. They walk in feeling unsafe. And so it is our duty to assess them and approach whatever their issues are individually. So the way we do this, trauma's impact on youth. I forgot I kept that slide there. So kids who, not only do the youth, the trauma relates to violence, it also reduces academic performance and career aspirations. They don't believe. They don't think that there are options. They don't have many resources in their communities, all right? They have difficulty forming trust in relationships because they have been let down quite often. They have impaired executive functions, simple things like planning and organizing, waking up on time, eating breakfast, making your bed, going off to school, participating in the after-school program. Those things are not normal. And those are just daily things that we do, and we don't realize that someone else doesn't have that as an option. The threat versus safety is extremely high, and that's where the violence kicks in. Can I trust you? Do you mean me well? All right? Am I safe here? That's what we experience in our facilities. And all of that creates insecurities. So how do we, as a program, are responsible for all the programs, how do we approach trauma? So I have to start academically, because we've all learned that some form of education, and not necessarily college, but some type of post-secondary education, increases our chances of success in life, right? Increases our chances of a quality of life. So I've already mentioned that they can get their 8th grade diploma, they can get their high school diploma, they can get a GED. But in addition to that, we have a partnership with the College of DuPage, where today our youth actually leave our campus and go to the College of DuPage campus and take classes. And they're earning real college credits. And when they leave our facilities, they can take those credits wherever they want, and they can continue their education at the College of DuPage if they so choose. Not only do we provide college opportunity, we just opened January 21st to be exact, Salon Maya, which is also planted on our campus. It is a cosmetology and barber program where the kids can be certified and licensed during their stay with us. Larry Roberts, and also volunteer, has also provided the services for our kids upon return home. So they're starting the services with us in the facility, and when they leave, they have opportunities when they return back to their community. I have to mention one of our brother institutions, St. Charles. St. Charles also provides college and vocational opportunities for our youth through Lakeland College. Some of their vocational programming includes horticulture, custodial, construction. I know those three for sure, and I'm sure there's a wide range of other opportunities. But in the event that we cannot provide the services within our walls, we have no problem with transferring their youth to a different facility so they can gain the necessary skills they need when they leave. All right, mental health services, as I've already mentioned, is very crucial because they're the ones who are able to articulate to all the departments the needs of the youth through their assessments and through their individual. Every kid has their own mental health professional assigned to them. All kids receive weekly therapy sessions, individual, and bi-monthly family therapy, if the family so chooses. If family cannot make it into our facility, we have equipped in our system WebEx, which is an electronic version where you can see and talk kind of like FaceTime. Is that what it's called? Not FaceTime. I don't really participate that often, but we have a FaceTime, so to speak, in our facility. We have several televisions set up where families do therapy and or visits if they live too far. The clinical service piece, as far as it relates to trauma, providing the case management services inside the facility is awesome and very necessary. But what about when they return home? And what's important about the case manager is they connect the kid to our aftercare services. So for those who don't know much about juvenile justice, aftercare is kind of equal to what you would think a probation officer is. All right. 90 days before a youth is released from our facility, we connect them with an aftercare agent, and that aftercare agent is highly involved in the success and progress of the kid while in custody. They develop a relationship, they create opportunities upon release because the aftercare agent lives in their regions. They're not someone who lives an hour away. They live right in those communities, and they're able to assist those kids in developing skills and networking within their own communities. So that's one awesome piece about the clinical services, because when you leave us and you have not developed any skills thereafter, the likelihood of you coming back to us is greater. All right. Our substance abuse counseling program, my counselors always say, you know, oh no, we're not talking about drugs yet. This is what they say to the kids. What's going on with you? How are you? Why are you acting like that? They always focus on behavior and feelings and emotions before they even get to the substance abuse, because we all know that substance abuse use comes from stress and sadness and depression and feeling like there is no way out. So we tackle all of that with trauma. And the strengthening families piece is probably the most critical. The governor passed House Bill 3704 here recently, and he has afforded us the opportunity to increase our family engagement within our facilities. I am currently in the process of creating a survey for families to ask them, what does family engagement really look like to you? Should we let your kids come home for the weekend? Right? Does their siblings miss them? Their parents themselves. Do their children miss them? So we are in the process of trying to engage the family more and the community more because our kids are returning back to these same people and these same environments. And until we address those things, what we do in the facility don't really matter. And the agency is moving in a direction. We're recognizing that, and we are becoming more trauma informed, not only in our walls, but outside in the communities for our youth as well. And then youth development, right? So we offer our kids so many different opportunities. We have scholarship opportunities from Save One Life Foundation, Story Catchers Theaters, provide services in-house, but also employment outside, right? Larry's Barber College. Yes, we have an institution now inside of our campus, but also employment opportunities outside. Mr. Eddie provides opportunity for our youth outside. So getting them ready and prepared for the real world indoors so that they can be successful outdoors. So while in our custody, and now we're just going to talk about a little bit of violence prevention while under our care. Our behavior modification program that we use is called Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports, PBIS. Anyone heard of PBIS? A couple of you, okay. It's traditionally started out in a school setting, right? But because we have school-age children, what best way to start this for our agency as well, right? So what PBIS does is it allows for immediate rewards for our youth, but also holding them accountable and immediate consequences, right? And most of the consequences are restorative. You do something offensive to someone, you need to apologize. You need to write a letter. You need to own up to that. In addition to, we do mediations with our youth. We do peace circles, right? So we're always looking into ways to approach violence before it happens, right? So one way that we do that, we have what we call commitment reduction time or commitment set time. And what that looks like is if a kid shows a pattern of behavior, we give them chances, right? We have a level system. That's what PBIS is. It is a point-driven level system that allows you to, when you walk in our doors, to start at level 3 and rise to what we call star level. Star level youth are more privileged or preview to the different amazing programs we have, right? But for those kids who cannot quite follow the system, we have to take a different approach. And what we do is we give set time. So that's added time to your commitment in the event that you cannot grasp hold of what we're trying to offer you. On the reverse side of that, we offer reduction time. Okay? So I don't want them to feel like there's no hope. So you can earn your time back. In fact, most of our youth who come into our care, our average stay is probably 3 to 6 months, but they can literally cut that in half if they participate in all of the programming that we provide, because we're interested in getting you back into your communities. So I was going deeper into our alternatives to violence, and I kind of rushed through this because I know we on a time frame. All right, so our peace circles, restorative justice, right? We get our youth together probably at least once a month, and sometimes it could be co-ed, sometimes it's just individual genders, but they get together and they talk about situations where people are mostly uncomfortable. And the point is to be able to find resolve with conflict and not in a violent way. Being able to use your voice and accept other people's opinions and thoughts, but still being able to stand firm in your thoughts. And it does not have to be violent. So peace circles are really awesome in that before the violence occurs, if they've already had a peace circle, they're a little bit more calm, they're a little bit more accepting, and so we try to do those quite often. Mediations happen before or after incidents, right? So we are very diligent. We pay a lot of attention, right? Even when we're not looking, your parents say you got eyes in the back of your head. That's true for us in our department. So we hear things, we see things, we notice things, we immediately intervene. And that's where our mediations come in. And we sit those two kids down in a very structured way. And we say, hey, let's talk this out. How can we resolve this? How can this not lead to violence? And for the most part, they turn out successful. I talked about commitment reduction and set time. Restorative justice consequences, right? Tagging, all right? I need you to clean that, honey. All right, yeah, I can get the maintenance department to paint over it, but you did that, own that, and clean that. And then I'll give you a hug when you're done, and we can move on, all right? So just an example of our restorative justice, right? You curse me out, because sometimes they're not the greatest at expressing themselves, right? And some trauma and fear. So, and you done cursed out the teacher. Now, can we go apologize to the educator, please? I'm sorry, I was really feeling sad, and I apologize. And can I please come back to class? Yes, all right? Simple things like that, holding them accountable immediately, but not tearing them down to where they feel like there is no way out. Staffing team. All of our kids have a multidisciplinary staffing team that wraps services around them. It includes their mental health professional, their counselor, an educator, substance abuse counselor, and administration all the way through. And what that looks like is when kids are having problems in the facility, they can go to they have a group of individuals. Somebody may be off, but somebody's there on your team who can assist you and navigate you through whatever conflict or issue that you're having so that it doesn't lead to violence. And usually when there is a situation, we do what we call thinking forms, where the kids actually have to reflect. They have to fill these out, think about the consequences of their behavior. Why are you feeling this way? What's the emotional, upset here? Think about it before you act. If you were to do what you're thinking, then what, right? And then I discussed aftercare being very important for integrating our youth back into the community. So, aftercare is also under IDJJ's umbrella. And becoming a more trauma-informed care department, it was important that not only the ones working in the facilities, but the ones working outside the facilities be able to recognize trauma. And I encourage that for everyone involved, right? You guys are here for a reason because you're interested in this field. You're interested in violence prevention, maybe interested in juveniles, youth, whatever. We have to do our due diligence in recognizing what that looks like. Because when we don't know, when you know better, you do better, right? Raising awareness on needs for resources. There aren't many for the youth in our custody care. They don't have a whole lot of resources in their communities. It takes us to make that happen. We have to have a voice. We have to speak up. We have to say something. Education and employment opportunities. Closing down schools, closing down mental health facilities, that lessens our youth opportunity for quality of life. You're forcing kids to cross neighborhoods and interact and intervene with individuals who they consider oppositional. And that causes violence. And then using their record or their past history against them, it's difficult for them to receive employment. We need to change the system there. And let's just continue these discussions, because somebody will come up with the grand answer. All right, somebody will. Somebody in this room has the answer, and we can't be afraid to just share it. Okay, so that's it for me. You guys have any questions? Yes. Yes.
I was wondering if the IDJJ has any programs toward any intellectually disabled youth. If you do, how are these programs oriented towards our children, some of the most vulnerable children here in Illinois?
So in our school setting, we have a special ed coordinator. We have special ed programming. Kids with intellectual disabilities are placed on IEPs, right? So there's an individualized approach to those youth, as well as the mental health services and their clinical services. So yeah, things are outlined differently for those kids who have those disabilities. Absolutely, we have to provide the programming for it. Absolutely.
Okay, I'm over here. The question I had is the high school or the educational facility aligned with the school district? And then if not, why was it designed to bring something in-house rather than to have it built out at the community? Given the last statement that you made is about education and opportunity and the social nature of tracking youth.
Okay, so we are certified through the Illinois Board School of Education. So we are District 428. We are too a community. We are a school within a community. Every single one of our facilities have their own school certified under ISB. Yes.
How long does the children stay in the program? Are the awards of state?
It varies, all right? So our average stay is approximately 3 to 6 months. We have youth who have a full commitment of 4 years. We have wards of the state also. And with the wards of the state, we struggle with finding them placements. So they stay under our care as long as we need to keep them there to find them appropriate placement.
Okay, so I'm a school psychologist. I've heard more today about IDJJ than I've heard ever. Do you have, and I'm also a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate. Do you have a way to connect the services, the wraparound services that you provided for the kids to school staff? I understand when they're in special ed, there's a complex procedure, but kids who are at tier 2, kids who are at tier 1, kids who are there but are not special ed, do you have case management or case advocacy that follows them into the schools and provides school staff boots on the ground?
Upon our release?
Upon release, right.
Upon release, we do not. We have the aftercare specialists who we equip with the information, but in our facilities, we have school counselors and we have a school psychologist. So in preparation for the transition back into the community, when they're doing their transcripts, when they're delivering that information back to those communities, they have full access to us if they need any information from us. But currently in place, do we have a school advocate, so to speak? Not necessarily, we don't.
You have a school psychologist beside you if you are in regulation.
I'm sorry? We have a school psychologist in our education department.
But how do you relay information about kids who are not in special ed?
Through the same pathways. Through the same pathways. Each kid has an individualized plan. Each kid has access to the school counselor. Each kid has access to the school psychologist, regardless to whether you have intellectual disability or not.
You're saying it back at their home district.
I can't tell you what the home district school has. I can't tell you what their school system consists of. In our facility,
no,
every kid.
You, how do you relay information about the care that you provided?
The kid transitions with their file, their social history, their file, all of the program that they participated in, all of that is developed in the transitional file. And it is transitioned to their schools and to their aftercare specialist, who is responsible for now enrolling a kid back in school through the assistance of the parent or guardian, of course.
The aftercare specialist, would we think of a release information officer, or is there another title?
No, they're aftercare specialists.
Hello.
Hi.
You mentioned that, well, I saw that your high school is named after Maya Angelou. And I was wondering, in your education material, do you include any cultural enrichment for these young people? I recall Mayor Rahm Emanuel saying that when he was in office, that these kids are out here shooting one another because they don't know who they are. They don't know how, what an esteemed background they come from. So they have low self-esteem and self-hatred. So I was just wondering if you do any cultural enrichment in your school.
Most certainly. Our school is ran just like any traditional school. All right, so Puerto Rican history, Cinco de Mayo in May, we're focusing on Black History Month in February right now. So absolutely, we incorporate all of the different cultures in our facilities, and we respect that and we teach upon that, definitely. Any other questions? Yes.
How does a child end up with you? Is there a kind of pathway that they end up through, or is it always legal?
So it depends on the commitment, right? The offense, right? You have some who, first offense, they end up with us, right? They go through our juvenile detention centers, they go on trial, and then they are adjudicated and they come to us. All right, you have some who, what we call habituals, who have repeated offenses and now has ended up with us. They may not have ever been with us before. They have probably been in and out of the detention centers, chance after chance after chance, opportunities after opportunities, and failed to take advantage of those, and then they end up in our care.
I'm sorry, I want to ask you to talk about I-70. Where is that? I know what I-80 is, but
I'm challenged, but somewhere around Champaign.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere around Champaign, north of that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What proportion of youth from the state end up in your system? It sounds like this is a very unique opportunity for them, and there are a lot of resources. And then the second question is, are there plans to expand this kind of approach?
Okay, so when DJJ started in 2006, we had approximately a little over 1,500 youth in our care. Today, we have less than 250. Okay, so it's working and it's expanding. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah, what proportion of that is to all the incarcerated youth in the state of Illinois that would be able to take advantage of your program?
Every kid that comes to our facilities take advantage of our programming. 5 facilities consisted of 250 youth total for the state participate in these programs.
And how does that relate to the total number of incarcerated youth in Illinois? I don't know that number.
I don't know that number.
Okay.
I don't know that number.
Hi, are these youth from DuPage County or they are Cook County, Kane County?
Wide range. And because we are the only facility in Illinois who house girls, they come from different demographics, yes.
Sorry for not totally understanding. 2 questions. One is, how long do youth often spend in detention facilities while they're awaiting trial before they're able to go into this program? And then youth who are incarcerated after their trial who don't go to your facility, is there such a, I mean, there are.
No.
No, okay.
They will come to us.
That's what I understood.
Yes.
And so how long are they in detention facilities before their trial, and they're either released to you or to their community?
So depending on how long the trial lasts, depending on the case, right? Some kids have sat in detention for 1.5 years, waiting for trial, and then come to us. What we do, however, is calculate that time sitting in detention into their stay. And so that's time earned when they're in our detention centers. Yep. Any more?
So I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I guess I'm thinking about it from the standpoint when you gave like the example of Warrenville close to Naperville, but all the children are coming from surrounding areas. When looking at the financial resources that your program takes from, say, the Cook County area or the school systems that those children would have actually gone to, Why does the IDJJ choose to move away from where the most of their youth probably would come from? And looking at those 5 facilities.
We
I'm just
actually
curious.
have a facility in heart of west side of Chicago.
Where's the other 4?
I'm sorry?
Where are the other 4? You said 5, right?
We have 5. We have 2 in the southern region, here Marquette and Harrisburg. We have 3 north, Chicago, St. Charles, and Warrenville.
And do you know what percentage of your youth come from Cook County? Because, I mean, if you're saying the Chicago one, that's only one of the 5 are in Cook County.
Only one of the 5 are in Cook County, correct.
So how many of the kids in your program come from Cook County?
I wish I could answer that accurately, but I've been privileged to work in the Chicago location as well. And so with my history, I can give you an approximation. Probably we have about less than 250 youth. We have about 40 right now housed in Chicago. Of those 40 housed in Chicago, I would say 80% of them are Cook County. So in Warrenville, I have 2 Cook County youth in my facility. We try to keep them in their counties because that's where their families live. That's how we encourage family engagement. We try not to pull them too far away from their neighborhoods because then it makes it difficult for their families to visit.
How likely is it for a child who goes through the program, gets transitioned back to the community, ends up coming back to you again?
Recidivism rates, this is awesome because our director just was like super happy to report this to us. I think they do like the recidivism rate calculations every 3 years. And 3 years ago, we were at about a 55% recidivism rate. Today, we're at 33.7. So that's like, woo-hoo, good news. Any other questions? Yes.
I understand it's preventative of these youth recommitting crimes or anything like that. IDJJ do anything to prevent these kids from entering the system initially, or are you only taking kids that are already identified and referred to?
We only take kids who are identified and referred to us, but what we are trying to create to address that is what we call credible messengers. So some of our youth who are in our care, we are trying to develop a program where they can get into communities and schools and talk about their experiences to kind of, guide them out away from that type of lifestyle. So we're looking into incentives and innovations for that type of stuff. Anything else?
So I really like the services that you provide for your youth once they're in your care. It seems like a very holistic approach. Are there any plans to partner up with in school districts, like in high-risk school districts, to provide these approaches, to make them available to kids that reside in these areas prior to becoming offenders?
Awesome question, right? And that's where, the community involvement piece get involved, right? Because again, someone here has a great idea that we have maybe not thought of or developed. That would be an awesome approach. Something I can bring back to the department. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank you very much for the information you shared and also for your holistic care and commitment to the youth. It's just fantastic to hear about the different initiatives.